I started writing this a week ago, standing at a voting line in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I still had a little bit of optimism that I might not have to record it the day after the election, but here we are. And I have experience accepting seemingly unacceptable outcomes, including finding out my husband of 20 years cheated, learning my fiancé was never going to survive his massive stroke, and being laid off after my company's owner spent $28 million shooting himself up into space. That one was over 20 years ago. And every time, those early days and weeks are really, really rocky. In the beginning of a big hit, loss or change, you don't want to follow any cute new age healing steps. You just want to survive the shipwreck that's your life. Normal self-care like massages or a night out is impossible in the early days. You don't really feel like leaving your house. The idea of small talk with others is impossible. The loss and pain are so acute, you can't imagine anything will help. And you may even feel guilty desiring any sort of relief. You just want to breathe normally again. When facing a difficult outcome, it's natural to experience frustration, anger, sadness, and disappointment. And you'll go through the stages of death. You really will, which include denial, anger, bargaining, and sadness. If you're having these feelings, try to be curious about what they're trying to teach you about your life. Talk to a therapist about it. And if you feel like you want to do self-harm in any way, please reach out to your nearest emergency room or dial 988. Understandably, as part of these stages, you may question the part that others have played in your misery. If possible, please try to remember that no one took the actions that they did to hurt you. They didn't die to hurt you. They didn't vote to harm you. They didn't even make decisions to lay you off to hurt you. They are acting out of their own needs and path and possibly suffering. You are hurt, but rethinking the instinct to blame or the belief that something was done to you might alleviate some of that pain. Even in these rawest and most tender states, I want to travel through the uglier parts of my being and get to the peaceful person as soon as possible. To do this, I find it helpful to lean on yoga and Buddhist philosophy so I can navigate these moments with some little bit of grace. Here are the 6 ways I have found helpful. Self-care. In the early days of pain, it is challenging to take care of ourselves. We forget to eat, exercise goes by the wayside, and sleep is unattainable. Focus on these areas in the beginning. Not eating or sleeping can hurt your ability to interact with others and make decisions. Also, exercise should be considered a must because it increases the production of endorphins, which are brain chemicals that can improve your mood and reduce pain. In particular, walking in nature can help you remember that no situation, no matter its magnitude, is permanent. Visit a local park and look at the tallest and widest trees you can find. They have likely withstood every human tragedy, war, death, poverty, and they've survived it. Recently, I've been visiting the tree that my friends planted when my fiance died. It reminds me of what is essential. The two of us had many small and big disagreements, but in the end, they were all a waste of time. Life is too short to waste breath on anything but love, kindness, and peace. I just need to take care of myself and be of sound enough mind to remember that. Number 2, practice non-attachment. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of non-attachment to outcomes. This doesn't mean we ignore our values or remain passive. Rather, we release our rigid expectations. If we have done all we can, we release the outcome. And let the idea come into our minds that this is happening for our greatest good. That this loss, pain, and or disappointment is here to teach us something, and maybe the world too. Accepting what is, rather than what we wish it to be, fosters inner peace. Remind yourself that circumstances are constantly changing, and the potential for change is always there. 3, stop othering. This is a tough one. In times of difficulty, it's tempting to see others as the adversaries. Buddhism teaches us to cultivate compassion, even for those we may disagree with. One of my favorite mantras is help people, and if we can't, do no harm. This is so helpful when we're in situations of profound disagreement. We may not be able to help those people. Instead, we have to decide to set a boundary to protect ourselves and do no harm to them. And remember, when dealing with people who voted or acted in ways you don't agree with, silence is always an option, as words like actions can never really be taken back. This is difficult as emotions run high and our minds and fingers spin on our phones with visions of doom. But we must imagine instead that we are all human. Each person acts from their own experiences, beliefs, and struggles. Not everyone is working on the path of love. So do no harm. The universe will provide, and karma knows everybody's address. Number 4, find moments of mindfulness and inner peace. When everything feels chaotic, turn inward. Meditation, yoga, and mindfulness practices can ground us in the present moment, helping us observe thoughts and emotions without judgment. We can build resilience regardless of external circumstances by focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and reactions. Do some basic stretches or simple movements, sit quietly and breathe deeply, and take a break and release resentment or worry. You can visit donnayferris.com/meditations for a dozen free meditations and yoga practices that can support you. One of the favorites these days is the one titled Feel Angry or Anxious. This meditation's for you. I've been listening to it too. And that's also on the meditation app Insight Timer. Number 5, convert the energy into creative or constructive action. In Buddhism, anger is considered a form of suffering that clouds the mind. Or as one of my daughters said yesterday, don't drink the poison, Mom. When anger and frustration arises, transform it into creative or constructive action rather than letting it fester. Ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? How can I bend the glass rather than break it? Supporting causes you care about and engaging in meaningful conversations may help. Connecting with others feeling the same way can also make us feel less alone. Creating through writing, art, cooking, or putting together a concert or a podcast can transform our feelings into positive action in alignment with our principles. This brings us a sense of purpose, agency, while making the environment around us better. Number 6, and the last one, accept impermanence in the nature of change. Everything is constantly in flux, and what feels unacceptable today may shift tomorrow. Change is inevitable, and all things, difficult and pleasant, are ultimately transient. Accepting impermanence can make finding peace with the present easier. It won't last forever. Use this acceptance as a reminder to approach each day with gratitude and curiosity for what may come, although gratitude may be a bit of a stretch today. Acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation, but openness to what life brings, even when it's undesirable. By rethinking what is happening and taking our pain and view out of the picture, we can find clarity, compassion, and courage in moments of deep uncertainty and perhaps, maybe, inspire others to do the same. We can do this. As we try these strategies for accepting the unacceptable, remember that healing and resilience comes in waves. Some days you may feel steady, while others may pull you back into the deep dark. This is all part of the process. Give yourself grace for the hard days and recognize that each step brings you closer to peace, no matter how small. Thank you for joining me on Bounce Back Stronger. I hope you found comfort, hope, and maybe a way to get through today. Visit donnayferris.com or purchase my book, Bounce Back Stronger, Finding Peace and Purpose No Matter What Happens, for more resources, meditations, and past episodes with stories of resilience. And there's so many people that have faced such difficult things and have found their way out. I'm going to be listening to some of those episodes today. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself and know that you do have the strength to get through this profoundly unacceptable time.